Jalinga Special Primary School in Madobi, local government area of Kano State, is an eyesore. Hundreds of pupils are crammed in 3 classes where they sit on the floor. Despite the community producing many political leaders in the state, the school has been largely neglected by the government. A teacher at the school who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to talk to the press lamented how the pupils had been denied quality primary education. The block has only 3 classes and we have a large population of students, which is not convenient for them. Studies become hard for both teachers and students due to lack of provision of education facilities by the government, the teacher said. She said, we tried enough to see more blocks are built. Elders of the community have proposed suggestions, but all promises were abortive, he added. His parents, Abdulkarim Salisu Mejigiri, told Sahara reporters his 3 children are in the school because he has no other option. Her children's performance is very poor. Simple arithmetic they can't solve, not to talk of constructing a good sentence. The village head of Jalinga Galadima said the school lacks insufficient teachers, well-constructed buildings and teaching materials. Despite the Hamatan in Kano State, students still strive to attend classes, but still the situation is not conducive due to open windows and broken ceiling, he said. Quick intervention of the state government is required. The money disbursed for renovations of schools in various communities has not been implemented accurately, as only a few schools were just repainted and retouched. By the But the appalling conditions of public schools in the state are not only apparent in rural areas. Urban public schools are also suffering from the government's neglect. Zawai Primary School and Secondary School, Fage, is located in the Kano metropolis and it is dilapidated. The roofs have caved in, posing life-threatening danger to the students. About 4 blocks in the school are falling apart from the remaining blocks are unfit for learning, while in class students are exposed to the sun and rain. The community leader Ali Ahmed said the government had abandoned public schools in the Fage local government area as they lack classes, reading material and qualified teachers. We kept asking where are the allocated budgets of education of our local government, but they keep saying the government is working towards ensuring good education. But for over a decade, the government is yet to act on its promises, Ahmed said. Some students are naturally gifted while some are low average learners, but even the genius ones are performing badly due to no quality education to support their intelligence. It is sad to see that the primary three students can't recite alphabet correctly. Another neglected school in Fage is Governor Senior Secondary School, Makatashi, one of the major public schools in the area. The school has hundreds of students who attend either morning and afternoon sessions because of poor and inadequate facilities. Students who spoke to our correspondents said the teachers are not qualified. Most of the time, we find it difficult to comprehend what a teacher is teaching because some of the teachers lack teaching skills, one of the students said. A teacher who prefers to be anonymous agreed that most of the school teachers are not qualified, adding that the method of recruitment of the politicians should be blamed. Some are just appointed due to their submission to government during struggles to be in power. He said the government compensates most of these unprofessionals with teaching jobs in some public schools in Kano, especially in rural areas. It is so unfortunate to see an English teacher who can't even speak a well-constructed sentence. How do we expect the children to learn? At Kwamarawa Primary School, Bichi, local government area, the buildings have collapsed, exposed the pupils to untold hardship. Some government officials have visited the school and promised that the rehabilitation will soon be carried out. However, some insisted that the 20 million naira the state gave to each local government for renovation is like a drop in the ocean due to the infrastructural decay in public schools. Ahmed Saye, an activist in Bichi, said the government has to improve public education in the state. Currently, some funds have been disbursed, some schools were retouched and renovated, while some other schools are still in their unwanted situations. Saye says we are still pursuing to see all goals are achieved towards ensuring sound education of our pupils. Another local school, another school, Limansi Primary School in Karaye local government area of Kano, is equally in a pitiable situation. The buildings have collapsed and pupils are forced to sit in the open to learn. Out of the funds disbursed, only the schools within Karaye metropolis were renovated, while the ones in the rural areas of local governments are kept idle, said Muhammad Awal, a community leader. Okay. Well, another says here that he added that qualified teachers are needed for better education. Most of the teachers lack techniques and teaching patterns. This has made most students lack diction as well as a sound education. A parent who spoke under the condition of anonymity said, I decided to enroll my 4 children to the school to avoid them being illiterate, but it seems the education has no impact on their well-being. Failure in terms of performance and exposure is discouraging. I urge the government to perfect the system by employing educated and qualified teachers to save our children from the disease of illiteracy. Okay. You know, if we want to talk about some of the people who have talked, and you see that some of them they want to learn, but they are not even given appropriate tools, appropriate atmosphere for them to be able to learn. If we talk about education generally or dilapidated buildings of most of these schools, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. Was it not in Sapele too when this little girl success that time? That was when we got to know that the school was so bad before the government. I don't know whether they went there to go and renovate the whole thing. It was an issue, an incident that brought that particular scenario. In most of all the schools, even in Benin, there was a time to somebody made a video and saw most of the schools that are dilapidated, but when the shame became too much, they started going and be doing a fire brigade work. If you check, even recently in Kogi State, we saw some of them. They are all the governments. I don't even know why they are all those governors. It is not limited in only northern area. It is not limited. It is all over the place. If you check, just that people, some of them are just trying to meet up now, but it has always been like that. As we speak, how many money, how many whatever do they budget for education? Even at the federal level, they try to still reduce the budget allocated to education and health sector. So it is not only limited to all these places. A lot of people are engrossed with many problems that we have now. There is no school, there is no state that you will go that you will not see all this kind of a thing. Most especially those schools that are in rural areas. But we know that the one in northern area, as far when you talk about education, the quality of education or the quality of teachers, it might be more rampant in that area. But when you talk about general education generally, you will still find all of these things in most of these schools, especially in all those inner places, all those local places. You will see them, but yet the budget. People are not even asking that what are the governors doing with the security votes? It's the same thing. They will pocket the money inside their pockets because they will tell you that constitutionally they are not supposed to give account of a security vote, and that's why we see what is happening in the area of insecurity or security, as you may want to talk about it. So it is like that generally. It's just that it's more in some places, but the worst part of it is that those who are teaching them, the majority of them are not qualified. That is just maybe a little different. But if you want to talk about the way and manner at which all these governors, the way they treat education, you'll be surprised. Of course, majority of them, their children are not in the, they are not in the country. And even if some of them who their children in the country, they don't go to those schools. They will take them to private, expensive private schools. So let's hear your opinion on this.